Okay, so number 1A, right here, we already talked about it, 116. Okay, B. What's different about B? Negative's not in parentheses. What does that mean?
That means the
The negative is not being squared, so it's going to stay negative. So that would be your B. It's negative 116.
Dang, I'm so smart. That's crazy.
Most calculators will get that right unless you have a simple one, and then they would get it wrong.
Kind of like the difference between me and Josh. He's a simple calculator, and I'm just like, you know, a supercomputer.
Exactly. Okay, number 5. What do you guys think for that one? What's 2 to the negative third? Or sorry, number 3. That's what I meant. I just saw a 5.
There is no C.
There's no C. I know, it's weird. Okay, 3A, 5 times 2 to the negative third. What is 2 to the third? 8. What is 2 to the negative third? 1/8. What's 5 times 1/8? 5 over 8. So that would be the A value. Okay. On the B, you have the parentheses. So you do 5 times 2 first. 5 times 2 is 10 to the third is 10, 100, 1,000. Each 10 just adds another 0, right? 10 times 10 times. Anyway, it's 1,000. But what if it's to the negative third? 1/1000. Okay. 5A, what do you do? This one you can do on the calculator. What do you do when you have negative 2 to the negative 1 powers?
They
Multiply, which is
negative. It's just positive 2.
positive 2. So I guess we're on 5A. 5A would be x squared. B. Okay, so basically we have negative 2 times negative 1 times 0, which would be what? 0. What's x to the 0?
0.
A 1.
1.
Carson saw 1.
Okay. I don't know. There's a couple ways to think about 7. We could simplify in the parentheses first, or we could distribute. Let's distribute. What's 3 to the negative 1? So I'm looking outside
1/3.
here. Everything in the parentheses is to the negative 1. So what is 3 to the negative 1? 1/3. What is a to the negative 1 to the negative 1?
A over 1.
Well, this is what kind of situation here?
Positive.
Multiply.
So it's just A?
Right, so it's just A. You could put A out to the side, or you could put A on top. So I'm going to guess the book put, because if you multiply them together,
Yeah,
A would be on.
over
I'm going to guess the book put this version. Let's see if I'm right. I can't find it. Sometimes they hide these pretty well. What number is this? Oh, 7. Okay. There it is. Yep. Okay. All right. Oh, B is kind of a mess. You can't really just, since there's 2 different terms, you can't just distribute it out, unfortunately. All right. Let's so it's 7, so it's 3 plus a to the negative 1, negative 1. Okay. I'm going to simplify this kind of, and then I'll worry about that later. Yeah, so you guys see the difference on these 2 problems? This one is just 1 term to the negative 1. So when you're multiplying, these are multiplied together, it's much simpler. But if there's 2 terms, I mean, you could say it's 1 over 3 plus a to the negative 1, but that's not really simple. Okay, a to the negative 1 is just 1 over a, right? How do we add two things together if one of them's a fraction? Common denominator. Common denominator would be a, so if I multiply this by a, I get top and bottom times a. Now I've got a common denominator. So what's that equal when we add them together? 3a plus 1 over, not multiplying. Remember when you're adding fractions, what do we do with the denominator? If we have like 1/4 plus 2/4,
Oh, it's
3/4. So it's just a. But all of this is to the negative 1, and what does the negative 1 mean? Reciprocal. What's reciprocal of that? Flipped. That's it. So if we don't run into a lot of those. If I made each of these worth a point, this would be worth a whole lot of points. Going fast. 9.
There's 32.
32. Yeah, but on the, if you look at the bottom, there's no A's and B's because they're harder. Let's see. 9. Uh-oh. Okay, looks pretty similar to what we just did. What is 2 to the negative 2? 1/4. What is 3 to the negative 2? 1/8. How do we add those two together?
common denominator.
Which is,
16.
okay, you can just do, you could use 16, but then you'd have to reduce it. If you just used 8, that would be the easiest way to do it. So yeah, 2 over 8 plus 1 over 8 is 3 over 8, but all of that is to the negative 1, isn't it?
8/3.
8/3, yeah. Okay, that wasn't too bad. B, is it, what's different on B? Oh, it's times, okay. So on B, it'll be 1/4 times 1/8. What is 1/4 times 1/8?
No.
Right?
Oh, I don't know where I was.
To the negative 1 equals. Now on this one, because it was a multiply problem, we could have flipped both of them independently and you ended up with the same answer. Like distributed the negative 1 out. So this was the A and this was the B. Okay, 11A. Last of these. Okay. Yeah, so more fun with the... So, a to the negative 1 is also known as 1 over a. How do we add two fractions together? What do a and b both go into? AB. AB. So what does this need? A b. So if I multiply the bottom by b and multiply the top by b, what does this need? A. So let's make that sloppy there. And then what's this going to be?
AB.
A plus b if you want to be nice and neat with the alphabetical.
subtraction?
Oh, is it subtraction?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then it's b minus a. There we go. Now what?
AB
Flip.
over B.
Okay, on B, it's, you could just, since it's multiply, you could just distribute the negative 1 out. Or you could do kind of what we just did. There's two ways to do it. But if we distributed the negative 1 out, how would we do that? like it's -1 to the -1. What do we do with the exponents in that case? Multiply. So what's -1 times -1? 1, 1. So what's the answer? AB. Okay, if we did it the other way, it would have been 1 over A times 1 over B, which is 1 over AB, and then you do -1, so it's just AB over 1, or AB. A long explanation for that. Okay, 13, I like these kinds. I'm guessing we don't know the formula for 13. What do they call the formula? Growth or decay, exponential growth or exponential decay. You guys remember? Probably not. This works with like populations or money or anything that increases or decreases over time with a certain percentage. Huh? Compound interest. So there's kind of two formulas. They mean the same thing basically, but does anybody know what the P stands for? Nope.
It stands for
It's called principal.
principal.
Like, which means the starting amount. This would be like how they would write it for money. P is like a money term.
I don't know why I can.
Anyway, what do you guys think the R stands for?
The rate.
Rate. Like, is it increasing by 5% or 10%? So that would go right there. What's T stand for? Time. How often does it increase by 5%? If it's every year, this would be in years. If it was every day, like maybe the bacteria reproduces every day, so this would be in days. But whatever the time is. Okay, the easier version of this is, what letter did they use out in front? I don't remember.
J.
Because they use A and B here. So I can't remember what letter they put here.
C.
I wonder if this book says it. Let me just,
Whoa.
they might use a different version.
Hey, stop. Don't use those words.
Okay, yeah, alright, I should use the book. So the P is for money, right? So we're not talking necessarily about money. They call this A sub 0, which just means this. 0 means it's the starting amount, okay? Before you move any days or years, that would be the first amount, okay? So what did they use for the other version? If they tell me, they might not have the other version in here. Yeah, something like this. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, this is easy. These two A's are the same, and B is just with the rate already factored in. So if something is going up by 10%, what is 10% as a actual number? 0.1. So this would be like 1.1. So instead of writing 1 plus 0.1, you can just write 1.1 in there. Okay, or if it was dropping by 10%,
It'd just be 0.1.
if it was dropping by 10%, it'd be 0.9. So basically what's happening is, if this was a 0.9, is it would be multiplying your starting amount by 0.9 T times. What happens when you multiply a number by 0.9? It goes down. When you multiply by a number less than 1, it actually gets smaller. If you multiply by a number bigger than 1, if this was a plus, if it was going up 10%, you get 1.1. It would go up slowly. You just keep multiplying by 1.1 every T years or days or whatever. All right. So on 13, it says an airplane ticket increases by 15% annually. You don't have to copy the table, by the way. We're just Or just put what would go in the blanks. Right now it costs $300. What's it going to cost in 10 years? All right. So 300 is my starting amount. What's going to go in parentheses here? The prices of the tickets are supposed to increase by 15%.
So
1.15, right? Okay, because this is like 115% of what it was. It's going to get a little bit bigger. 15% is actually pretty high for 1 year. That's very quick growth. And then it says after 10 years. What do I do with the 10? Right. Basically, what's going to happen is when you plug this in your calculator does 300 times 1.15 times 1.15 times 1.15 and 10 times. And it just keeps getting bigger every time. But this is what you plug in your calculator. Yeah, that's called very high inflation. 12.14. That's crazy. Hopefully that's not true to life. After 10 years, it goes from $300 to $1,214. Okay, and then it asks after 20 years, so you just go back and plug in the 20 where the 10 was.
Are they going into space?
This is just a theoretical. Yeah, you can get anywhere on the planet probably for less than $2,000. It's been a long time since I've flew, but I imagine you can get anywhere for less than $2,000. All right, 15. Jar of mustard. That's not important. Now it costs $1, but it's increasing by 7%.
That's not bad.
So how do I write it?
1 parentheses 1.08.
Yeah, 7% is 0.07, and then it says after 10 years and 20 years again, so it's another 10 right there.
$2 is kind of.
Yeah, if your inflation is 100% after 10 years, that's pretty bad. There are countries who've had such bad inflation problems that like a bill that was handed out 1 week was worthless the next week. Because, you know, here's a 10,000.
In Germany, they used to like.
Here's like a 10,000, yeah, after World War II.
Yeah.
Here's a $10,000, you know, whatever they call it, dollars, 1 week, and then next week it's not enough to buy a loaf of bread.
It'd be like kids carrying like wheelbarrows full of money for
Yeah.
bread.
It's called hyperinflation. Anyway, it happens. When that's kind of part of the problem when the government keeps making more money and we don't have any more. The money you have loses its value. Okay,
It was like worth less than the paper.
on, yeah, exactly. On 15, a penny's actually worth less than the stuff it's made out of.
Let's get rid of them.
You run for Congress and do it. On 15, you guys should have got $1.97 and $3.87. Since we're talking about money, okay, we should round it off to the pennies. 17. Okay, this is the only difference on this one is it's decay. So it's on 17, the tractor's value is decreasing. So this is like after you buy a vehicle, the price drops. Yeah, the value of the tractor is decreasing by 25% every year. That's that would be it.
In 4 years.
Well, it doesn't. In 4 years, it's not zero though, because it's only drops 25% of what it was the year before. So we're starting at 65,000. If we're dropping 25% of what it was, right? Then it's like 1 minus 25%. So it's only going to be 75% of what it was after 1 year, and then 75% of what it was after that, and I think it says 3 years, right? So. I don't think they're, well, I think right after you buy a vehicle and take it off the lot, it does drop drastically, but after that it kind of slows down.
The used.
Is it supposed to be like
The
weighted?
used trucks.
They put 27,422.
Used trucks right now are actually super high though for some reason.
People have been buying vehicles like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it has something to do with the.
Like they were talking to my
Does
dad.
like the handout money?
My dad
Like
was
everybody started buying houses and vehicles.
My dad was thinking about like buying a truck, and they were like saying, like my dad was talking to one of his friends who owned the dealership, and he was saying that like you might as well just like if you're gonna buy a used like a nicer used truck, you might as well just buy a new one because it's like they're so close right
Yeah.
now for some reason. Like it's only like some of the models are only like $4,000 left for a year used.
Wow. Okay. Don't forget, I didn't write it down, but you also need to plug in a 6. There's 2 answers on that. The value of $1. I think in real life it might be like 1% decrease in value. 6% seems a bit high, but anyway, if so, you have $1, and if it's dropping 6%, where is it going to be? 94% of what it was.
Did you say this is a 2-day assignment?
Yeah. I think in actuality it's like a day and a half worth of assignment, but
No, not 2 years.
shoot. Anyway, 21, are we ready to move on?
Those are easy. I'll keep them going.
You can keep going with those. Well, there's a few evens you have to do. Okay, it's just to simplify stuff. What should we do first on 21?
We we should distribute the 3.
Right, use the exponents first. There's nothing we can do in the parentheses. So yeah, you can think of that as like distributing the 3 out. So I'm gonna do the normal numbers first. So what is 3 to the third times nothing? 3 to the third is 27 times 3 over here.
81.
81. Okay. So that's the normal numbers. Then I have a to the, what do I get from that? -6. What happens when I do a to the -6 times a to the 5th? A to the -1. Yeah, this is an adding situation. So this is multiplying. This would be adding.
1 over A.
Okay, what's 81 times 1 over a?
81 over
81 over a. Now, sometimes you can leave the negative exponent, but a lot of times they make you get rid of it. Maybe I'll do one more of these and then we'll just finish it tomorrow. Okay, 3 n squared. You guys want to try it on your own and then we'll check it on
No.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
My voice isn't heard in this country and I'm tired of it.
You're gonna be watching what? I hear you.
Power to the people.
Oh, on the 3's, you could write a giant number, but the book just left it as 3 to the something power.
And then you add it.
So they didn't change it to a huge number.
It's kind of gay.
Hey, don't use that language. We don't call stuff gay here, John.
We don't call P.
No, we don't use gay as a slur.
Yeah, it
They're
offends
special
people.
and a good group to society.
My bad.
Just look at the James Charles picture.
I went to go bleach my eyes out.
Almost the weekend.
Yay! I need a long break. You know, I'm working so hard.
Oh yeah. I hope it snows in
I hope it doesn't.
Supposed to be like 70.
Yeah.
It's supposed to warm up a lot.
Yeah. Heat wave. All right.
there. I was looking yesterday, it said 27 for that day.
Let's see how we did. So I'm just gonna leave. There's more than one way to do it, but this would be like 3 to the -1 and n to the -2. And this would be 3 to the 7th and n to the 14th. And then when you multiply 3 times 3, when you're multiplying the bases, you add the exponents. We did that last time. -1 plus 7 is 6. Anybody plug in 3 to the 6th?
Yeah.
What came out?
Oh, never mind. I didn't.
Yeah.
729.
Okay, well, the book just left it. If you put 729, I wouldn't count it wrong, but for some reason they just left it like that, whatever. And then -2 plus 14 is 12. Hopefully you got that.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, no, never mind.
Yeah, no.
Isn't that not tomorrow?
All right, why don't you guys try the evens? We'll finish it up tomorrow.